No one in the restaurant knew that a single sentence would change several lives forever. The young waitress stood quietly beside the table as one of the richest men in the city looked at her with a mocking smile. Then he spoke in a foreign language, believing she would not understand a single word. The people sitting around him laughed softly, and the color slowly disappeared from the young woman's face. But when she answered him in the same language, the entire restaurant fell silent. Before we begin today's story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us share more heartwarming stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be. On a cool autumn evening, the Golden Oak restaurant was full of people celebrating birthdays, business deals, and family gatherings. Soft music filled the room while waiters hurried from one table to another. 24-year-old Emma Parker tied her apron, took a deep breath, and smiled at the customers. She had been working at the restaurant for nearly 3 years. During the day, she studied languages online, and at night, she worked long hours to support her mother, who had been ill for several years. Emma was known for her patience. No matter how difficult a customer was, she always remained calm. That evening, everyone suddenly became excited when a group of wealthy businesspeople entered the restaurant. At the center of the group was Victor Laurent, a billionaire famous for his luxury hotels and technology companies. Newspapers often described him as brilliant, powerful, and demanding. Victor sat down at the largest table in the restaurant while his guests laughed loudly around him. Emma walked toward the table with a friendly smile. "Good evening," she said. "My name is Emma, and I'll be serving you tonight." Victor barely looked at her. As Emma handed everyone their menus, Victor began speaking to the people beside him in French. "She probably doesn't understand a word we're saying," he said with a smile. "Perhaps she can at least manage to bring us our food without making a mistake." Several people at the table chuckled quietly. Emma lowered her eyes for a moment. She could feel the heat rising to her cheeks. But she remained calm. Victor continued speaking. "People like her should learn that some places are simply beyond their reach." Then Emma slowly looked up and answered in perfect French. "Sir, I understand every word you have said. I also believe that respect should never depend on a person's job." The laughter disappeared immediately. Victor stared at her in complete shock. The guests exchanged nervous glances. Emma continued speaking gently. "My mother taught me French when I was a little girl. She believed that learning another language was a way of understanding another heart." For the first time that evening, Victor had no words to say. The restaurant became completely silent. Then Emma smiled politely and asked, "Would you still like to place your order?" Victor nodded quietly. As the evening continued, Emma served the table just as professionally as she always did. She treated every guest with kindness, including Victor. An hour later, one of Victor's business partners accidentally spilled an entire glass of juice onto an expensive suit. The man became angry and blamed a nearby waiter. Before anyone could react, Emma rushed over with towels and helped clean the mess. "It's all right," she said softly. "Accidents happen." The young waiter looked at her gratefully. Victor watched everything carefully. For the first time in many years, he felt ashamed. Throughout his life, people had admired his wealth, his companies, and his success. Yet this young woman, who spent every day serving others, possessed something he had forgotten long ago. She possessed kindness. As the guests finished their meals, Victor remained seated. "Miss Parker," he said quietly. Emma turned toward him. "I owe you an apology." She looked surprised. "You had every reason to be angry," Victor continued. "Instead, you treated me with respect." Emma smiled gently. "My mother always says that angry words reveal pain, not strength." Victor lowered his eyes. "My father used to tell me something similar," he said. "I haven't thought about those words in years." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Victor asked, "Why are you working here if you speak several languages so well?" Emma hesitated. "My mother's medical treatment is expensive," she finally replied. "This job helps us survive." Victor nodded slowly. The next evening, Emma arrived at work expecting an ordinary shift. Instead, the restaurant manager rushed toward her. "Emma," he said excitedly, "someone is here to see you." Standing near the entrance was Victor. Emma looked confused. Victor handed her a small envelope. Inside was a card with a name, an address, and a phone number. "I own an international company," he explained. "We're opening offices in several countries, and we need people who speak multiple languages." Emma looked up in surprise. "Are you offering me a job?" Victor smiled. "I'm offering you an opportunity. The rest depends entirely on you." Emma stood speechless. "But why?" she asked. Victor looked around the busy restaurant. "Because last night, you reminded me of the person I once wanted to become." Tears filled Emma's eyes. Several months later, Emma was working as a language consultant for Victor's company. She earned enough money to provide better care for her mother and finally continue her education. But the story did not end there. Emma never forgot the people she had worked beside at the restaurant. Every month, she returned to visit them. She helped young employees improve their language skills and encouraged them to believe in themselves. Meanwhile, Victor changed as well. He began treating his employees differently. He listened more carefully and spoke more kindly. He even created scholarship programs for students who could not afford an education. One evening, Victor visited the restaurant again. Emma was there, helping one of the younger waitresses learn French. Victor smiled as he watched them. "Your mother was right," he said. Emma laughed softly. "About what?" "Learning another language really is a way of understanding another heart." The lights of the restaurant glowed warmly as people laughed and shared meals together. In that simple place, a billionaire had discovered humility, and a waitress had discovered how far kindness could reach. Sometimes, the strongest people are not the loudest people in the room. They are the ones who choose patience instead of anger, compassion instead of pride, and understanding instead of judgment. A single act of kindness may seem small, but it can change a life forever. And perhaps the next life it changes will be your own.